Now the soft skills. Soft skill is a people skill. That means you are interacting with others and you are now manifesting yourself. Basically, you have to understand one thing. In your entire life's endeavor, you will be always communicating with somebody. Always take care of yourself because you are communicating. So people skill is very important because you are living in the society, you are being in company with many, and within which you are manifesting. You are trying to convince somebody, you are trying to communicate to somebody, you are trying to understand from somebody, you are trying to learn from somebody, whatever you are doing. Basically, it's a people skill. That means a skill which you have to deal with people. But that's highly based on the personal attributes and your emotional intelligence. So what is very important for us is, every individual is, and that's what is training, that we have to learn how to manifest, how to behave, how to talk, how to stand, how to stare, how to look at, how to communicate. So that is the basic idea which I am now in this particular course of study I am trying to highlight at different points of times. But one thing you try to always keep in mind, that since my focus is on business negotiation and marketing strategy, all the soft skills that I'll be talking about may be true for everybody, anybody, but I'll be focusing all my cases, all my discussions essentially for business negotiations and marketing strategies. Of course, I definitely have to draw references or cases from the other studies as well, others' experience as well, share others' experience. Now, what will happen is, after you finish the entire course of study, if you have understood, if you have learned something through this particular course, I'll be very happy about it. Please give me feedback that how much you are trying to get benefited from this, so that I know that exactly how I can maybe restructure certain things. Okay, now the soft skill which is applicable across all sphere of life. Every time your soft skill is working. There are many people who may not have earned degrees, don't have hard skill, but soft skill is intrinsic. Intrinsic means that it is internal. You have, every individual has. The point is that has to be nurtured, that has to be inculcated, that has to be grown into a good soft skill which gives you benefit. Few examples, like public speaking. The politician speaks very well. The speaker speaks very nice. The professor addresses 100 students. The motivator addresses anybody who is in front. The point is, this skill nobody teaches. And frankly speaking, nobody can teach. They can give you some idea, but nobody can teach how you are going to speak publicly. Let me raise one point here. Basically, if you have ever acted in a drama, stage play, I'm not talking about the movie, I'm talking about the stage play. If you have ever acted or performed on stage, then you will find that you will be given a script. You will memorize the script. You will rehearse the role the way the director wants. You will be given a space within which you will rehearse, you will practice. Later on the day of the show, you will be taken to a stage which is much different from where you had been practicing for a month long. There, once you are on the stage, then you are alone, along with your co-actors, and there are audiences in front whom you have never seen before, neither you will see them in future. At that point of time, whatever role playing you have rehearsed, you have practiced, you have memorized the roles, and now you have to perform. It's a different ball game. Why it's a different ball game? While rehearsing, if you make a mistake, director will cut it. He will rectify you. He will guide you. You yourself can stop and say, I would like to do it once again. But on the stage, there is nothing called once again. In fact, I'll tell you, throughout your entire process of business, there is nothing called once again. If you do it once, that's the only time you get. That means you are given the stage only once. You win or you lose. you do better or you make worse. So the thing is, I feel personally, I have also practiced myself, not as a, I was not very consciously doing it, but I have practiced as a hobby. My suggestion is that if you are really in the game of business, if you are really in the game of such kind of marketing, then you must also have practiced dramatics on stage. I have heard many people say, I have also read in many magazines or books, that there are people who practice and rehearse in their room alone in front of a mirror. It's a good idea. You are rehearsing, nobody is going to correct you, you correct yourself, and now you practice. When it comes to public speaking, do you get a chance to rectify your sentence that you have uttered? Do you get a chance to say, no, what I wanted to say I did not say, now I am going to say? No, never. So public speaking is one of the very soft, very strong soft skill. You keep on speaking and you don't really rehearse everything. You only have few jotted down points which you know that what you have to cover, and now you keep on speaking. When you are keeping on speaking, somebody may ask you questions or may not. Generally when the politicians speak, nobody asks questions, only gets clap. Once he gets a clap, then he understands that people are endorsing his point, and then he keeps on making it more and more and more points out of that. So basically in the whole process of this public speaking, you are creating what you have to speak. You might have a point at the back of your mind, either may be written on a note. So you keep on speaking. You may have some points which are jotted down on a piece of paper, or you may have on your laptop, you may have at the back in your mind, but you are now speaking. When you keep on speaking, nobody can control you, keep on speaking. If there is an endorsement, then you keep on harnessing those points and make more issues and more points out of it, and then ultimately share. If there is an objection, then immediately tactfully change the topic and go to another topic. So point is, this is something like, this is what is soft skill. Who will teach you this? Because there is no set questions, there is no set objections, there is no set rule, there is no set pattern, there is no theory. So this is what is the very important thing which I thought I must share with you. Okay, public speaking. There will be, in fact, what I'll do is, I have listed, rather collected from various sources, entire set of soft skills. Some soft skills can be converted into hard skills, can be. That means some soft skills which can be trained, it is possible. But I will still keep it under soft skill, because that is individual skill that one should develop within and then ultimately perform. Time management, another very strong soft skill. I already discussed that time is a treasure. Time is the only treasure, and that you use for doing anything. You can waste your time. So that's why we say that we save our time, we waste our time, we make use of our time. Time management is a very strong, personal attributes of yours which you can really protect. I will go to this time management at the last set of lecture on 12th week, very much in detail, and there I hope that you'll get a different kind of perspective of the time use, and I hope that will be very beneficial for you way forward. Relationship building. Here what happens is, you are not alone in the society, so you are interacting with people. Since you are interacting with people, naturally you are, there is always a kind of manifestations which are bipolar. That means somebody is telling you something, you are responding. You are telling somebody something, he is responding. You are asking for a favor, he is giving or refusing. The point is, there is always something like a give and take. In such cases what happens is, if you build the relationship, then retain the relationship, maintain the relationship, or spoil the relationship, whatever you can do. But the relationship building is one of the very strong soft skill. But this is not all. When you will see the large list, you will be amazed to see that there could be so many skills which every individual must have. And if you are really in the business, yes, you ought to have. Another very strong soft skill, I am only giving some highlights here. When I will go to the detailed list, you will see. Negotiation. Since it is for business, it is for marketing, negotiation is another very strong soft skill. And I personally feel that nobody can teach anybody how to negotiate. Negotiation just takes place. across the table. When somebody says no, then you get ready and try to convert that no to yes. That's a negotiation. So negotiation is very spontaneous. You may have a background study, you may have a background preparation, but on the stage, just like drama, on the stage, what is going to happen, God only knows. You cannot comprehend what is going to be there because you are not supplied with the questions that your client is going to ask you. Negotiation, another very soft skill. That's why my entire lecture is focused with this. And when we'll have negotiations, there are many experts all over the world, and we are researching on various researchers, observation studies and all that. There are many cases which they are doing, and I will take highlights of many of the cases, or again I will share with you what I have experienced or what others have experienced and shared with me. Okay. Leadership, another very soft skill. Nobody can teach somebody to be a leader. Leadership is, it is said that think like a leader. Leader is born. People say that, think like a leader. Who teaches you how to think like a leader? Leader is born. When do you know that leader has been born? No, it's not. It's a soft skill which people generate within, and then or else intrinsically one had the leadership skill. If there are 10 persons and somebody has to take a decision or take a lead, and if all 10 persons are sitting idle, nobody will be the leader. But automatically you will find if the crisis arises, one person will turn out to be a leader, though nobody expected that person to be a leader. But suddenly a leadership skill comes within him, gets triggered, and he behaves like a leader and ultimately leads the entire team. That's how it is. Empathy, a very important one. Empathy is basically, like say in the business or in everyday life, you are yourself, but there is always somebody else around. How you be compassionate, how you be sympathetic, how you feel for others, how you be concerned for others, all together a bundle is empathy. If you don't have empathy, then you are a very hardcore salesperson. You are selling a product of your own to somebody who needs it. And now, if you don't have empathy, your only objective will be to see that how much you have spent, what has been the price fixed, what is the profit that you are going to get, and what's going to happen to the other person by having it. You just simply don't care. So the empathy doesn't remain then. Point is, these are few things which are very, very important. Now, question comes, I have been asked by many, when I have been lecturing in some management schools, people have asked, sir, is it an art or a skill? I don't know, means how really I make the distinction between art or a skill? What is art and what is skill? Art is the way of doing it, the technique of doing it. Everybody does something in his or her own way. There may be a set rule that, okay, few milestones, how it is to be done. But somebody starts a work and goes to the end, and ultimately he or she touches those pegs or the milestones, does the whole work. If you now take 10 persons doing the same work and you just try to measure or compare all those 10 persons total process, you will find people have, even if they have touched those milestones, they have been slightly different. That's art. That means it is the way of doing it. Skill is something which is a very set rule. Means you have to learn those set rules, then people will say you are skillful. An example, typist. Given a type machine, I don't know, means today's generation you don't see a type machine, you only see a keyboard. But the thing is, given a type machine or a keyboard, if you look at a typist who is typing, you also use the keyboards. But if you really look at the keyboard which I have on my left. Look at this keyboard here. See, can you see this keyboard? Okay, this keyboard? All right, you can. There are so many keys, very orderly placed. You check with any keyboard all over the world, they are ordered like this. There may be some language oriented keyboard which may have a little difference, but this keyboard, the position of all the keys in their alphabets, they are very, very structured. The point is, now look at this keyboard and see a typist working on the keyboard. You are also using the keyboard. You will find that the typist uses certain fingers for certain keys. and you are using with this finger, that finger. The moment I look at those fingers, somebody is running the fingers on the keyboard, I can make out he's a skilled typist and other is not. I can make out. You can also make out. The point is, if you really know the grammar, the typing, I don't know whether you have gone through the exercise I have gone through. I have learned typing and I have seen I can use it very, very effectively, very efficiently like any other typist, because every finger has its own position for different keys. This is skill. And if somebody takes one finger and keeps on pressing and maybe typing it very fast, that's art. That's not the skill. That's an art. That's a talent. Somebody is doing it very fast. So similarly, like keyboard of a synthesizer, keyboard of the piano, strings, when somebody is playing, if somebody is playing with certain grammar, then it's skill. If somebody is trying to do and just by fluke it occurs, it's art. The point is, it's not that really sharp distinction, but it is art or skill. This question is always asked. The point is, let's see the hard skills. Can we earn the hard skills? Yes, we can. How? By education. That means first you learn it through a set rule, set books, set principles, set theories. You learn it. You can also learn beyond that by training. That means you might not have gone through the entire rigor of the education, but you have learned it through training. You have been trained. Or it can be experimenting. Scientists do that. Their skills is to identify. They have a search, they have a research question, they have a conjuncture which they are trying to establish the validity of this, and he's experimenting. So hard skill can be earned through experimenting. If your experiment is successful, then you are skilled. If your experiment is not successful, you are not skilled. But the thing is, there is a basic skill. The scientist who is originally an educated and trained person to do the experiment here, so he may not succeed in getting the results for this experiment, but he is skilled. Then practice. Okay, keep on practicing. Once you have learned, keep on practicing. I can tell you one thing, if you don't practice, then you forget. Ask any of your computer programmer friends. Somebody who had been very good in the college in computer programming and earned lots of high grades like excellent or A, did not touch the computer for 5 years. Just ask him to write the same program, he cannot, because the practice is not there. So if the practice is not there, then you lose the actual the hang of the whole thing, because many things which you have forgotten. If you are writing a program, the codes you forget, the syntax you forget. You don't know how to debug it because you might have forgotten it. So the point is, anything that you do, you get yourself educated, get yourself trained. It is because of many subjects like engineering, architecture, medical and all, where beyond education now you have to be trained. So first you get educated, then you get trained, and then you keep on experimenting if you are trying to focus on something, or we keep on practicing. Take any of the professional hard skill owners. If they don't practice, then education means nothing to them in future. Okay. Now thing is, then comes performance. If you are practicing, you are also performing. It's just like a surgeon who is doing a surgery. He knows how to do the surgery because he has learned in the college, and he had been trained by house internship and whatever. He might have experimented this by dissections. He is not practicing. If he is not practicing, he is not performing. And give him the knife and the scissor, after about 2 years you will find no, he is not being able to do. So it is always a sequence by which you can always keep on enhancing your skills. And another thing which comes at the end of all is experience. But you will see the experience comes only by following the upper things. Whatever I have said here, education, training, experimenting, practice and performance, somebody is experienced end of the day because one has gone through all these processes. So this is important. That's how you can earn the hard skills, whatever kind of skills. If you can now, with this idea that something which is certified, something which is authorized, which you can learn and also earn that particular knowledge, which you can identify as a hard skills, then you will see that they have gone through this process anyway. They are fairly measurable. I'm just writing few skills, fairly measurable. As I said, the hard skills are fairly measurable. Why I say fairly measurable? Because it is through certification, through exams. It may so happen that during the exam somebody's health was not proper and he could not write the answer properly, but he's a bright student. So why I'm saying fairly measurable? Because on that day in his exam he might not have excelled. He otherwise, if he was properly healthy, probably he would have earned 95. But in this, he was not healthy, medically ill, so he could score 70. So I'm saying fairly measurable, because getting 70 does not really indicate that he is not 95% worth. That is why it is fairly measurable. Typing skill, 40, 45 people expect that, okay, in 40 words in a minute, one should be typing. Typing skill can be measured. But there can be somebody who with single finger will keep on typing, may not be 40, but that's not the hard skill. Okay, operating machinery, somebody who knows how to operate a machine, and then that will be considered a hard skill, because he knows how to look at the user handbook, or how to really look at the manuals, how to decipher what is written in the manual about this operation of this particular machine, and he does the operation of the machine, and then he goes for repairing and all these things. He can identify where is the mistakes, see what has gone wrong if it is not properly functioning. This is the skill which is under hard skill. Carpentry, machinery, welding, all these are fairly measurable hard skills. Foreign language, learning others' language is a hard skill. See, by birth you belong to a family, you belong to one of the linguists' family, and then you learn the language by everyday's practice. That is really not the hard skill, because you are listening to it and you get used to it. Now you can interpret and infer from there and you speak. That's not really the hard skill. But of course, even if suppose you belong to any of the language oriented family, you also learn the language in the school. Basically, you become more knowledgeable about that particular subject, that particular language. But the hard skill is that if suppose you know English and you are trying to learn German, you are a Hindi speaking person trying to learn a South Indian language. It's a foreign language. Foreign means I'm talking about the other's language. That's a hard skill, fairly measurable. Computer programming, the hard skill, and the playing is also hard skill. That means here you learn how to play. Something like, I'll give an example. If you have ever been interested in playing golf or billiard or tennis or cricket, there are certain rules which you have to follow, you have to learn. And once you learn that rules, then you generally don't deviate from the rules. What you do is you innovate within that some more actions. Okay? So the point is, even in the games, you know that learning that rules which certifies that, okay, you know how to play cricket, you know all the rules and regulations of the cricket game, then hard skill. But given a bat and a wicket and a ball and you keep on hitting the ball, listen, you are not a good cricketer, you are not a skilled cricketer. Everybody can hit a ball with a bat given. Take a football game, you know how to play the game, how to dribble, all these you are practicing. So now if you connect this with the other chart that I have given over there, if you are educated about that particular rules of the system, whether it is typing or this operating machinery, carpentry, welding, machinery, computer programming, foreign language, games, whatever, if you are educated, then you know, then you are trained how to do it, then you experiment on doing it, how to do better, how to do it differently, how to make it more effective, and then you keep on practicing, then you keep on practicing, and then you perform. Once you perform, and then over the years when you had been doing it, you are now experienced. That is the hard skill. So the fundamental difference between the hard skill and the soft skill, as I have said over here, in terms of hard skill, what hard skill can do is it can fetch you an interview call through scrutiny of your CV or resume, through an appointment. It can fetch you this, but it really cannot fetch you a project, cannot fetch you a job, because hard skill is the one which is passively reviewed by others. where you are now scrutinized that whether you have qualified for selection, not selected, not yet selected, qualified for selection. So, when you shoot your CV to somewhere, when you send your resume to somewhere on request or even unsolicited, if you are going for a cold call for an interview with somebody to explore the possibility of doing business with the other organization, though all these are maybe possible through that hard skill because you have your profiles. But what it cannot do is, this may also get you a job, also sometime get you a job based on certificates earned, examination passed or examination taken, or trade test or field test or competition or audition. So, what happens in the hard skill is, basically you have a certificate, shooting your certificate through CVs and resume, you have been scrutinized, you have been called, and then you are examined through an examination set, or you have to be asked to give a trade test or a field test on the field. Like an example, typist. You write that I am a typist with this certificate, you will be called, then you will be asked to type a certain pages of writing text given to you, and you will be watched that in a minute how many words you have typed. That means there is also a field test, okay? Trade test. If you are a good mechanical engineer, then you will be asked to perform some mechanical engineering activity, some workshop activity as a field test or a trade test, or else through competition. If there are so many who are going to compete within this, then you will be led to a competition, and in that competition if you win, then you might get a job, or you may be at least shortlisted, and after that again there will be a final shortlisting and final selection, we might be selected, or audition, just like what is happening in nowadays in musical events or dramatics events or such events, that people are being called for audition. There are many people who are coming for audition, they think that they can, but they cannot really, they prove themselves to be not capable of doing it. So, there are so many ways by which you can land up a job, but the thing is, most often it is, we can see that the hard skill can fetch you an interview call at least, but getting the job really, getting the business really, it is not simply the hard skill, but of course hard skill is equally important. Then what about the soft skill? The soft skill essentially is, basically what you will do is, since it is applicable across all sphere of life, if you are through with the hard skill stage, that means you have got an interview call. Let me take that case. The hard skill will get you an interview call. A certificate will get you an interview call. You have applied, the application has been given. Okay? That does not guarantee that you will get a job. You will get the assignment, you will get the appointments. Now, the next stage is the soft skill. That makes the great difference. What happens is, see, I am in the process of scrutinizing several applications and then sitting as a selection committee member over many years, selecting many people, rejecting many people. Okay? Let me give you the clue. During scrutiny, we have more time. During scrutiny, we have time to view each and every fact that the person has mentioned in the application. And if we have a criteria, shortlisting criteria, then through the shortlisting criteria we can really make a very quick decision, okay, this person has not qualified through this particular criterion, one single criterion not qualified, then automatically what happens is that application goes to the site tray. So, there are a lot of time that the evaluators or the scrutineers or the evaluators they get to scrutiny your application. So, when you are writing your application, be very, very careful that all the facts that you want to give which reflects your skill should be highlighted. If you have some skills which you have forgot to mention over there, then in case you get a call, then make sure there's something which you have missed in your application form or profile must mention, because anything that you have earned over the years is a hard earned experience, knowledge, which you should be sharing with others so that they can better judge you. Okay. Now, in the soft skill, what is the benefit is, hard skill will get you a call for the interview, but soft skill can enhance your performance. How you perform, how you really behave, how you talk to people, how you answer the questions, how you dodge the questions, how you put your point forward, everything. So it enhances your all performances. When I'll go through all the list and very briefly discuss about each of those soft skills, you will be amazed to see that so much have to be really learned and understood about soft skill. And are we really seriously doing it? In my opinion, with this so many years of experience, being a professor as well as professional, I have found really we don't have much idea about what soft skill is, and we have not really nurtured or practiced the soft skill, which probably if I would have done long back in my younger days, probably I would be in a better shape. The thing is, this is the time that, okay, understand the soft skill, understand it and try to practice it. Not that every time you will succeed, because it also depends on your personality, your mindset and your time, the opponents whom you are dealing with. Okay. This can get you a job or other opportunities. The point is this, I am summarizing it. There is a position available in a company. The company has advertised for right candidate. That advertisement is floating in the web or in the newspaper or any other form of advertisement. You have seen that advertisement and you feel that you are worthy of it. Only one post. Let's say CEO. Of course, CEO is selected in a different manner. I'll not go to that high level. Okay. Let's say a superintending engineer. There are so many engineers, highly experienced and highly knowledgeable. They think that they can be vying for this particular job. Possible. It's possible. Let me consider that me is such person, educated person, and I want to vie for that job. Only one post. Now you see, like me, there are many people who will see this advertisement with equal qualification, equal experience, maybe higher qualification than me, higher experience than me, or maybe a little lower qualification than me and lower experience. So there are so many possibilities. I don't know who, but I know I am what I am. Okay. Now what happens is, there will be a criterion given. So you follow the criterion very categorically and see whether you fit in this. In case you are not fitting, I have seen many people who, even not fitting the criteria, they also shoot the applications. They have a different kind of mindset. I have discussed with such people that you know that you don't qualify for this, you are out on this particular criterion, why did you really shoot your application? I got very interesting answers. Say one answer was, I have just given the application in case there is no other better candidate, then I may be considered. Not a bad game, not a bad game plan. So what happens is, just like me, there are many others who are shooting their applications. Now the moment I get an interview call, then I realize that I have qualified in the shortlisting criteria. That is based on hard skill. Similarly, maybe 10 other experts like me, they have also been qualified and shortlisted for the interview. All 10 of us, 11 of us, we land up in the interview board. One by one we give the interview. Only one person will get the job. Based on what? Hard skill has been almost equal, or let's take theoretically all equal. Then who will get the job? I can guarantee you the person with the best soft skill will get the job. It is such, you get an opportunity, you get the job based on your soft skill that you have. So now I will discuss after this the various other issues on the soft skills.